very draconian type power to law enforcement agencies, and we have been facing those challenges for last 2 decades.
Yeah.
I'm afraid right now, yes, I understand that this is a domestic terrorism and the terminology has been changed or the blame shift. But I think, as you were saying, that instead of giving more power to law enforcement agencies and passing that type of laws, if the Congress can do, as you were saying, more investment against hate and more investment for love, I think, and more healing, I think that will be the best course. So that is the just one thing I like to mention and like to know your reaction on that.
Yeah, well, I can appreciate it 100% because it's exactly how I feel. We have concentrated on the punishment so much that we have ignored the problem and the root problem, right? And the root problem is that we all need to understand each other and love each other and accept and embrace all of our wonderful differences, because that's what this country is made of. We're a mosaic. It's like my district is a mosaic of all of these amazing traditions and cultures. We should be embracing that and be excited about knowing one another and all of our differences. And I think what I see in this administration and in this Congress, it's the most diverse Congress that has ever happened. My class, my freshman class of the 18 or so Democrats, the white people are in the minority in that class, which is amazing. So the Democratic caucus is a much more diverse caucus, and I think we all understand that by passing legislation that invests in communities, invest in community services, and invest in cultural opportunities, and creating opportunity is the way to go. I will say, on the reverse of that, these white supremacists, we are going to bring them to justice. We are.
Sure,
I just want to be very clear. But what we have to do, and we have to concentrate more on, is providing opportunity that is available to everyone across the board in the economy, as well as embracing one another and role modeling that. No better way to hire in a diverse way. Both my staffs in my DC office and my district office are 100% diverse. And so when you role model all of that, then it becomes the norm, right? So let's make it the norm.
Yep. That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Congresswoman Newman. We have also joined with Sister Hania Jodat. She is the president of Muslim delegates, as well as she works for Muslims for Biden. Sister Hania, let me see.
Thank you, Brother Sama, Jamal, and Salam Alaikum, everybody. Thank you for that warm welcome. Well, what a historic day, what a historic week, and what a historic moment.
Yeah.
As an Iranian American, I have to say, and I haven't really prepared a speech for this event, so I'll say this from the bottom of my heart. Knowing that I can finally see my mother with the lifting of the travel ban is something that is very dear to me. So I feel like this is the dawn of a new day, and I feel like we have to celebrate the departure of hate and work towards restoring the soul of this nation, as our President-elect Biden has promised us that he would do. But I think we also have to stay very cognizant in that we have to work towards policies to ensure that the next Republican president or the administration doesn't have the opportunity or the access to sign such bills or co-sponsor such bills or even support these executive orders that can separate families and destroy lives. And as an Iranian American, what I'm really looking forward to doing is getting more engaged with the Biden administration, not only because we do need representation, and we need to be at the table to talk about policies that impact our communities, but to ensure that we're actually building a coalition and building in diplomacy on world stage, to also be able to kind of build those relationships with my country of Iran that can ensure that we lift these sanctions. that have crippled the economy, not only the economy, but have contributed to lack of medicine and depreciating our dollar, our Tuman currency. So it's it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Brother Osama. I'm not one to be known to give speeches, improvising, but it's great to see so many familiar faces and some new faces. So honored to be here, and thank you.
Well, thank you. No one is giving speeches. Don't worry about that. We are just sharing and, talking about this remarkable, special inauguration that I think we are a generation now, those who have been watching and witnessing these days, it's history. Sister Nadia, would you like to say something?
Yes, I want to look back and think that what really got me so annoyed about Donald Trump in office was when, like, a month or two, I think it was January, February of 2016, I went to my son's book fair, and he was in second grade at the time, and they already had the new book of the president, the history of U.S. presidents, and they had a picture of Donald Trump there already. And I thought, the publishers were so quick to have that, and it really irritated me. And I read his inauguration speech, and I just couldn't believe that this is what had happened. And it really, the next 4 years, I really changed who I was, is that I couldn't just sit back. And I think it really transformed us. And I think it made us a stronger country.
Yeah, I agree. Usama, I'm so sorry. I do have to part. My team is telling me they have to go to my next Zoom.
Absolutely.
So, but I do want to thank all of the wonderful organizations and everybody on this call for being such great neighbors and community members. And I look forward to working with all of you. And God willing, we all meet soon. So peace and love to everybody.
Thank you. We appreciate having to be with us today. I know it is very busy. We just had a glitch in the connections. We had about 80 people waiting on, and we're trying to see what happened, why the problem. We switched links, but that's okay. Stay safe. Good to see you, and hopefully we'll see you again in better times and better days. Thank you.
I hope so. Peace. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I believe Brother Abraham Ayash is with us here. Let me promote you here to a panelist. You should have received your link as well, right? Brother Ibrahim? Okay, you are muted.
Yes.
In case you want to talk.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear
sure.
you.
And can you see me?
We
Yep.
can see you as well.
Okay,
Okay.
wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. This is now the second celebration of Muslim Americans joining together to talk about the power of Muslim America and what this means for our communities and what we can do with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House. So as a previous speaker before me said, this really does feel like a new moment and a new era for our country. For 4 years, we have suffered and had so much of what was ugly about America and what was unfinished business in terms of it taking out sort of resurface. White supremacy, domestic terrorism, hatred, xenophobia, and anything in between that resurfaced, and it was promoted by a president in the White House who said America was made great in spite of refugees. America is made great in spite of Muslims, in spite of African Americans, in spite of so many people who for years have fought long and hard for the American project. And now we are seeing a culmination of our organizing for the last 4 years, standing up to that very hatred and that xenophobia that is now eradicated from the White House, but still very much exists in the country. And the question becomes, what do we do now? Because we recognize the power of our American experiment. It is an idea that we can continue to work to perfect the union, that we might never achieve that perfection, but we try our absolute best to fight for that greater justice. And we are seeing how much more we have to do in this country to attack COVID-19, but also the disease of anti-Blackness, the disease of poverty that for decades have impacted so many all across this country and have continued to exacerbate the issues because of this pandemic. And as Muslim Americans, we have an obligation to step up and fight for that greater justice, fight for that adala, and say that we will work with the Biden-Harris administration where we see fit, and we will resist and push back and hold them accountable where it is necessary. And as I think about my family's story, how important and how powerful the American idea is. My parents would have been banned at the border, Yemeni immigrants. They would not have been allowed into the United States of America under Donald Trump. And the same year we decided to kick him out of the White House, folks in Michigan sent the first Yemeni American to the state legislature to fight on behalf of Detroit and Hamtramck. And for that, I am incredibly grateful. And I know that I will keep all of the families that may not have the opportunity to be together because of an unjust war, that may not have the opportunity to be together because of an incarceration system that seeks to destroy Black families, and a system of economics that exploits the labor of working men and women, people like my father, an auto worker who has dealt with the impacts of automation and offshoring of jobs. And we must commit ourselves from this moment that the work is just beginning, the work to fight for economic, social, and economic justice in this country, to finally address the diseases of poverty and anti-Black racism in America, to be the leading voices in the fight to finally take on COVID-19 in a serious way. And I'm hopeful that the Biden-Harris administration will do just that. And I'm grateful that they were elected in November of 2020. And as the old adage goes, hindsight is 2020. We know where things have gone wrong in this country, and we know how we can make sure to make them better. So I just want to thank USCMO for hosting this event, for organizing this incredible work. And I am today committing myself to fight for that greater justice. I'm hopeful that all of you will join us as well, and that we will do the work of building back better, because we cannot go back to normal. We must invest and commit our time and our efforts to do something better for those who are now no longer with us, or for those who don't have the capacity to stand up and fight, because they are suffering far too much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much, Representative Ibrahim, for joining us, sharing with us your experience, your thoughts. I don't know if you can stick around for a few more minutes to entertain some question, if you can, to understand. Everybody busy these days. Everybody is overwhelmed with the last, not just a few weeks, but also over the last few months throughout the campaign, throughout the anxiety, how and where the country will be going. You may want to tell us and share with us any advice you want to give young people. Many of them, unfortunately, well, we have a good mix of our youth in the, our Muslim youth here. Some, they are very upbeat, they are very believing, just like yourself. They go out there, they engage in political process. At least they go out there, register, and they do vote. And others are very skeptical. They believe there's nothing going to change. Why would I do this? Why would I do that? What kind of advice would you give to both?
Our republic and our democracy only works if we're willing to engage in that process. And alhamdulillah, we have a lot of young folks, and we have a lot of folks that are young at heart who are committing to do this work of engaging politically. But what I quickly have to say to this point is, power is not something that is simply given to you, right? Folks who have power don't just one day wake up and say, I want to just hand it over. It is something that we have to take. And in order to take it, we have to make sure that we have a concerted, organized effort. And the only way to build that concerted, organized effort is if we step up and do that work of engaging with our communities, of like teaching folks and leaning in and showing them the power of the political process, and making sure that we're investing our energies and efforts to build that power. Because if we do not, someone else will write our narrative for us, so that when policies like the Muslim ban come, I want to be very clear. Joe Biden didn't say inshallah, and he didn't commit to repeal the Muslim ban, and he didn't bring Muslims on his administration simply because he decided to wake up one day and make that decision. That was because of intentional, active organizing by our communities to make sure that we were not only used for electoral reasons, but we were at the table in the co-governing process. We were at the table when policies were being discussed, when issues that impact us, issues like healthcare, issues like foreign policy, and issues that affect our students and our parents and our elders. Those were the issues we brought on. So inshallah, Joe Biden didn't happen because of random acts. It happened because of intentional organizing. And that was just one step, right? Now we have to make sure that as we do the work, we are committing to hold folks accountable in the Biden administration, Muslim and not, and that we're making sure that it's not enough to put a hijabi woman on the website or to use one of us in a commercial, but are you engaging us intentionally? Are you bringing our voices to the table? Are you bringing those that are most impacted by issues to the conversations to build those solutions? And that only happens if we continue to organize, because this administration will absolutely make mistakes and do things that are against our interests. Let's be very clear about that. Every administration will do that. But we have to be ready to push them to do the right thing. And that is the purpose of an active citizenry. You know, I remember 4 years ago, President Obama said the most important office in the country is not president, it's not governor, it's not senator, it's not representative, it's citizen. And if we are not committing our work as citizens to do this work, then that office will be filled by a corporation that gets the president's ear, that'll be filled by people who are against our interests that will have the president's ear, and that will be filled by folks who want to see our communities to continue to suffer, and they'll have the president's ear. So if we're not going to put in the effort to do that work, someone else will act in the exact opposite and make our lives more difficult. And think about what that means for the families that have had people die because of a failed administration. Think about what that means for the families that have someone who is unjustly incarcerated because of a broken criminal justice system. They don't have the opportunity to speak up and say, we need to build back better. So we have an obligation to do that. And it is in our Islamic tradition to step up. We cannot simply be folks that go to work, collect a paycheck, and be comfortable at home. You know, there's a hadith that if someone in your community is starving and they are in your vicinity and you are going to bed without attempting to feed them if you have the opportunity, then you have made a mistake as a Muslim. We have to make sure that we are not making those mistakes as Muslims. We have to commit to fight for adalah, to fight for that greater justice, because it is so important that we are going to be the leaders and the folks that will push all that is right and all that is just in this world and bring that to the forefront.
Thank you. Well said. That's exactly how we expect, and this is how we see our obligations, our duty as citizens in this country. Dr. Zaid Bukhari, would you like to have any interjection?
No, that's wonderful. I think Brother Ibrahim told us. The only one issue I think is it the training of our youth to get involved in any capacity, maybe from voter registration to get out of the vote to becoming intern, giving a staff, contesting election, to I think to change the whole community mindset and training for that purpose. That is the need, and I think our elected officials, our Muslim elected brothers and sisters, they could be very helpful. Our other sisters, I think they are doing, sister Nadia, sister. So they are doing all those arrangements, but we need more involvement of the community and also our elected official, elected representative, how to train our own youth and how to give them more opportunity to work in that arena. Because what we understood from the whole exercise in these days, that those people, those who have more experience in working in any capacity of different administration, they are getting the top position they will be offered. So, but we, instead of just asking or wishing that because I first time I registered my vote and now we should have enough positions, that is not workable. I think putting our own emphasis, our own efforts, and our own all resources into that arena and that dimension, that is the need, I think. So if the Muslim community for next 10 years really plan in that way, and then I think very favorable results could be achieved. But we definitely need, I think, the strength and the resources from our elected representative, and then we can navigate from our community in different places
Absolutely.
to get involved.
Absolutely, Dr. Bukhari. You hit the nail on the head. You know, our ability to be at the table does take effort and does take work. It's not simply casting your ballot and having that result, which is why I mentioned the point of making sure we're engaging in the process beyond the election. Electoral politics is important, but simply casting our votes is not enough. Now, alhamdulillah, we as a community also have folks that contribute resources to a lot of these candidates. And it's important that when we are giving our resources to these candidates, it's not simply for a photo op. We're asking for moments and moments of history that we can empower our youth and empower those in our community. We have a very talented community, mashallah, across many different industries. We're not all doctors, right? We're not all just merchants. There's a rich economic value that we bring. There's a rich cultural value, and there's a rich human value that we bring to the table. And we have to make sure that we're leveraging that as we vote, as we contribute to these candidates, and that we are not simply just saying, let's take a photo with the President of the United States. It's let's create moments of inspiration and things that will be imprinted in our heads as photographic memories for our youth to be inspired to do some of that work. And that should be our commitment beyond fighting for that greater justice.
Thank you. Thank you very
I'm
much.
going to take up space for a
Mr.
bit.
Ismahan,
Yes, alhamdulillah.
go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First, I kind of want to acknowledge, I know we're tuning in from multiple different locations, but in the city that I am in, currently in San Diego, I'm standing on Kumeyaay land, and just really thinking about what this incoming administration means for our community. Since we are specifically targeting and speaking with our Muslim community, I want to be realistic. Yes, we are celebrating. We are celebrating the fact that a white supremacist and a fascist president is no longer in office. Yes, we are celebrating the fact that it took a lot of organizing and work and effort for us to be where we are today. The Biden-Harris administration is in office today because of marginalized communities and communities that have been cast aside oftentimes by both parties. The backbone of our democracy is our communities that have been neglected, communities whose lives are at stake every single day. And every single moment that we're taking a collective breath together as a nation, I'm reminded of communities like ours, communities, the African American community, indigenous community, folks who have been marginalized and living at the margins are the ones who are responsible to bring us this new day that has dawned. But the system that is in place, the system that got Donald Trump elected has not gone away. So I want us to rejoice and celebrate this moment because we have been on the defensive. Our communities have been under attack for the past 4 years. And they have been under attack for a long time. It's just that attacks got more vicious under this administration. So I want us to really understand as we are celebrating this opportunity for us to continue to organize and advocate for the key issues that are impacting our communities across the board, that we're being realistic also in understanding that we don't have a savior in the White House, right? We went in with that attitude. I remember how I felt when Barack Obama became president, and really just kind of sitting with that beauty of seeing the first African-American elected into this high position and being the leader of the free world. So I want us to ground ourselves in that understanding. There is a lot of work to do. The organizing does not stop just because we got someone who's a lot more friendly towards our communities, more so than the previous administration. There's a lot of work and a lot of organizing that needs to happen, that must happen. but we can celebrate the efforts and the work that has been done across the board, in communities that have, again, been cast aside by both parties in seeing what we saw today. The Muslim ban was repealed. That's one of the first things that Donald Trump signed as an executive order, is one of the first things that Biden undid. And that's because of the work and the organizing efforts and the pressure that has been built. But in order for us to realize, America's potential of really being a country where everyone does belong, where we're not dealing with a lot of the inequities that we've seen that has been laid bare even more so during the Trump administration, during COVID-19, dealing with mass incarceration and the criminal justice that we see, the criminal justice system that we see in our land, as well as Islamophobia, xenophobia, racism, you name it, is going to require us to take a really hard look on what accountability is, being able to name white supremacy and the systems of oppression that continue to plague our communities and divide us as well. And let's be honest about that. It's going to be critical for us to name these harms, for us to hold each other accountable, hold our elected officials accountable, making sure that we're holding this administration accountable to their promises and pushing them on the issues that have been impacting our communities for a very long time. So let's take a moment and breathe and celebrate, and then let's get to work.
Yes, you're right. It's not a moment of relaxation. It is just a moment of taking a breathe and moving on again. Maybe I would like the panelists to talk a little bit about their organization so that everybody knows who's who and how our organization participated and contributed in this to this whole election process and the results that we were able to achieve. We may start with the delegates. Sister Nadia, tell us a little bit more about the Muslim delegates.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Osama. So with respect to Muslim delegates and allies, we were formed, as a group. Hania and I met through organizing through Muslims for Bernie. Both of us were also elected as delegates to the Democratic National Convention for Bernie Sanders. And this was both of ours. It was first time as delegates. And so we had a steep learning curve. But what we did learn is that that being authentic and true as Muslims and for what our voices stood for was very important. And I felt, in organizing, I think the most important thing is to be able to speak truly. And I think that's really there's a reason why the First Amendment, the freedom of press, the freedom of speech, the freedom to organize and the protests are so critical. It's because why we have a democracy. And so we worked, Hania and I, with a group of delegates. And the thing is that the Democratic Party does not actually collect the data for faith. So we had to go in state by state and look up folks that had Muslim sounding names and do that. And so we just spent a lot of time scouring the internet. And then we would find folks like their email address or find them on social media. And then we started meeting weekly on Zoom and discussing, what were recommendations we wanted to submit and what were our plans, what could we do to change the party platform. And what was really shocking to me was when I first went and looked at the Democratic Party platform, there's actually, it's still there right now if you go look at it on the Democratic Party's website. There's a picture of my local imam, Imam Hafiz Tariq from Islamic Center of Orlando. There he was at a political rally before, in his individual capacity. And they were showing him, while they show the platform. But when I looked at the 2016 platform, it was looking at Muslims through the lens of terrorism as national security threats. And so it really kind of astounded me to see him there. But then when I looked at the platform, it wasn't that pluralistic view that they tried to show. And so Hania had been working at the time with the California delegation, which is a very strong progressive movement, and they had strong progressive resolutions that they were putting forward on the annexation of Palestine. There also had resolutions relating to foreign policy, having endless wars, also in terms of healthcare access, in terms of Medicare for all, climate issues. And so we're seeing that, these resolutions that were relating to the Muslim community were not being, brought forward as Muslim issues. They were just being brought forward as progressive issues. And what we wanted to do is to bring them forward. And this is what we as Muslims also want, not just as Bernie delegates, but also as Biden delegates as well. And so we worked over a period of about 3 days, and we drafted a 17-page document. And from that document, we submitted it to the DNC platform committee, and it was accepted by the DNC. And then we worked through the amendment process as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. I think we've been joined by House Delegate Sam Rasool from Virginia. Brother Sam, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Walaikum
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's wonderful. I'm doing wonderful, alhamdulillah.
Good to have you here. Good to have you here. I know you are gearing up for the big challenge ahead of you, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, correct?
Alhamdulillah, inshallah, voting starts in 3 months. So
Okay.
right
Let's
around
start
the
with
corner.
that. Let's start with that. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, first of all, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Feels like we've been celebrating all evening on some different Zooms. I just saw my friends here and get to see you again as well. I'm very, very fortunate to have been the first Muslim ever elected in Virginia history. Was 7 years ago. I'm in my 8th year, and we've taken this jump to want to be the first member of our community to be elected across the country at the lieutenant governor level. We are very fortunate that in our first couple of months, people from across Virginia and across the country have stepped up and have been so supportive of our endeavor here. We currently believe that we're the front runner in this race. It's an 8-way Democratic primary that I'm in the middle of, with voting starting in 3 months. And what we've wanted to do is advance equity in all of its forms and make sure that we're just asking for all of us to be able to have a seat at the table. And I know that many of you are interested in the same thing as well.
Great. Well, thank you. That's really, first of all, it's great to see our people really out there making their way to participate, to contribute, and to have a presence of our community where we need to show how much we love this country, how much we care about this country, how much we would like to improve, the social, the economic, the health, everything that we see ourselves, contributing. So this is great. I know we had some good meeting last, it was November of 2019, preparing for the 2020 elections, and in Washington D.C. And that time we talked about so many things, and again, to see you now going and aiming higher, this is really very, very encouraging, very hopeful for our community to see that we can participate, we can aim high, we can run. But the key to it is organizing, mobilizing, believing in what you do, knocking the door, convincing people, believe in what you do. And I think this would really make it. Dr. Zahid, well, let me give you a chance to ask questions, and we'll have the panelists ask their questions, and then we would like to know a little bit more about ICNA, Council for Social Justice. Go ahead.
No, yeah. First of all, I think we really wish good luck for Brother Sam.
Thank
I
you.
attended one event in New Jersey. I think brother in New Jersey, they organized, and came to know that okay. So we are definitely, we are hoping, we are praying, and whatever efforts we can do, that you should be successful. first, I think first the primary and then the election, inshallah, that's the procedure. So let's see, let's live our hope, inshallah ta'ala. So about ICNA Council for Social Justice, very briefly, I think it's a Islamic Circle of North America has been here for the last 50 years. So they are working in outreach and different organizing, and especially in social service. So recently, last 10, 20 years, they are very much, they have been, mashallah, working in ICNA Relief as a domestic relief organization and helping hand for relief and development for international. Then ICNA also decided, that the time has come that we should go to the next level and work for the social justice. That is the American tradition, and that's also Islamic tradition and prophetic sunnah also, standing up for justice. So that is the basic, our motto is that we should be working here. So from all 2-3 aspects we like to cover, I mentioned before also, I think at this time, the changing alhamdulillah, I think mindset of the community has been changed. We have been looking at different survey results. I think if we see 20 years before and now, the Muslim community is more involved in the society, in the community, in social service, social justice, in civic engagement, relatively more and more involved. But still, I think sometime we have to do our dimension a little bit more straighten out. For example, previously, a lot of people, a lot of brothers and sisters, they are earning good money. They used to give donation. And as I think Representative Ibrahim was saying, just for op-ed, putting a picture, good picture in their living room with a congressman or senator, and that is enough. But now I think it is more than that we should be involved, not only giving just the donation, but volunteering and then voting and then also on the issues. That is the more important thing, that it's not only like so-called Muslim issues, the only hijab, only discrimination. No, if the poverty is here, that is a Muslim issue. If the violence is here, that is a Muslim issue. Even white supremacists, that is the Muslim issue, because they are creating more hate. So if hate is being created, that is a Muslim issue, and Muslim issue this way, we should address that issue, and we should become the solution of that issue. So I think that is the need, that if on one hand, our young one, our second generation, they should be more involved in the corridors of power corridors, maybe starting from the intern and staff, and then contesting election, as Sam is paving the way, becoming a role model, and other our members, I think they are becoming also role model. So starting from maybe school district, I think from there, and counties and the state, and then also that is the one direction. But other direction opposite is very much that sitting on the table and offering policy as the solution. And maybe on the very higher level, that in a very subtle way, Islamic perspective should also be there. I'm not saying that imposing anything, but the Islamic perspective could also be presented in an American style here. How to, for example, how to address this poverty, how to address this hunger, how to address this racism issue, how to create, other than beyond law also, that people should feel that we have to answer to God. So we should be taking care of ourselves, taking care of our community, and taking care of our society. So ICNA Council for Social Justice working on in those directions. So we have several programs could be available on the website on the domestic issue, the racism, police brutality. Last year, I think we have, because nationwide organization, grassroots organization, so we, I think, organize rallies and webinars and billboards and those type of, and the campaign, the advocacy campaign, all those campaigns we have done it, and on police brutality, on Islamophobia, and on some of the global injustice issues. Also, we were very much active on the grassroots level. But we like to basically, I think we are very much keen to have partnership with other organizations, with Muslim organizations, with professional organizations, with faith-based, with non-faith-based organizations. We like to have more partnership in getting our youth to get involved in the social media, but may have some impact in this the whole civic engagement arena, from participation from the very grassroots level to the policy table. So that is the our desire, and we are working into that direction. Thank you very much.
Zahid, very well said. That's exactly. I want to ask Brother Sam, why did you decide to run for Lieutenant Governor? What are you going to bring to the people of Virginia that you think that you can bring and that you can make a difference in their lives? And why should they vote for you too?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. You know, when I first started running for office at the end of 2006, I ran for U.S. House. It was my first run for office as the youngest congressional candidate in America. You know, it wasn't even about policy, it was about process. I really loved everything that Dr. Bukhari was just talking about. It was just spot on about that there is a calling for us to do this work, to bring this justice. But for me, it was specifically around the process. You know, I watched the way we campaigned, the way we talked to each other. You recall even 20-something years ago that that president was going through his own impeachment. And, you know, I just didn't feel good about politics. So I was very idealistic in my view, and I ran for office and said, I'm going to run a campaign that's going to be grassroots oriented, that's going to be values centered, that's not going to be tearing people down. And then several years later, I was elected to this office, and I couldn't shake the idealism. Today, I still feel deeply about the idealism. In fact, you can see on this, you see this truth, love, and grit on our little sign right here. Truth, love, and grit. Those are the three family values that we have in my family. Always tell the truth, always be kind, and never give up. And alhamdulillah, my wife, Layali, and I, we raise our three children, Jannah, Amira, Isa, with these three family values. But we've structured the whole campaign around this, where we're elevating the truth, where we're encouraging people and finding new ways of loving on our neighbor, where we're highlighting where people are working hard and struggling through Virginia Grit, a program that we call. So there's a lot of policy that I love to talk about. But what I want to do is run a campaign that people feel good about, that they say this is the kind of message bringing that we want. You know, the truth is, Osama, I grew up here in the western part of Virginia. I'm in the Bible Belt of Virginia, in the foothills of Appalachia. And of course, my name is not Sam. My real name is Salam, you know, but we grew up assimilating in the 80s here, and it became Sam as a child. And so, you know, the name is, you know, peace messenger, Salam Rasul. And so we want that really to dig down deep. But most importantly, what we know is the ultimate validation of these values is to show people we can win by expressing these values. And at the heart of all of that, the only way I can ever be able to explain to everyone any success we've ever had is this concept of niyyah. And you come to people, subhanAllah, with clean intention. And for me, out here in a place where there are very few people like me, they have given me a chance to just serve. And that's all I've ever asked for. And I would love to be able to do that at the next level, inshallah.
Thank you. Let me see if Abrar can join us. She's actually attending a board meeting where she's elected for, and she stepped out for a few minutes. If you are still around, Abrar, you can come and join us, talk to us for a few minutes, and then you can go back to your meeting. I know she warned us, you know, first time. She said, look, I'll be more than happy to come and join you. I would love to, but I do have a meeting, which is a board meeting. And as you know, she was elected a member at large of the board, the school board in Virginia, one of the largest school board in the country. And so I told her that's fine. So if you are still around, please do join us. If not, we understand your limited time. Are you still around? She's just been texting me back and forth. I'm sure that even to the panelists, you received her message. Okay. The panelists, do you have any other questions you want to ask Sam?
I think I would like to ask Delegate Rasool about how we can assist him, because I think, even if we're not in Virginia, I think we can assist in a lot of different ways. And I think I think letting us know how we can help and how we can get others to help as well.
Well, thank you so much for that, Sister Nadia. And one way that you're already helping is congratulations on being overwhelmingly elected to the DNC. To have people involved in so many different ways. So I want to congratulate you on your success, and we're proud of that in many ways. And seeing so many people just rise up and say, look, we just believe that we should have a fair shot at being involved in these conversations. Specifically on my campaign, there's so much that people can do, Sister. Number one, making those critical calls. We have a robust field campaign that we're getting ready to launch, and have our system set up where our universe and people can call in. So and I know that you're very well known for your great phone banking operations that you've run. So that would be fantastic. Number two, find us on social media and help to amplify us and our message in many ways. We're very fortunate to have some great traction in that respect. I'm currently in session right now. So during the General Assembly session, we do not discuss the fundraising aspect of things. But these are a couple of things in particular, the phone banking and social media, and helping to spread the word about our campaign that people can be doing right now. And again, voting for us starts in about 3 months. So our election is right around the corner in this primary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions from our panelists? What about the people on the panels here, on the guests, the attendees? Anybody has a question, they can raise their hand. You know how to raise your hand. You just go to the 3 dots in your next to your name, and you can just simply raise your hand, and then we'll open the mic for you.
While folks are doing that, Brother Osama, I just wanted to just thank our fellow panelists and House Delegate Sam Rasool and Sister Nadia, Dr. Zahid. I think this is one of those critical moments that our community I remember just, decades ago, we went from talking about whether voting is haram or halal to electing Muslims in various different positions from Congress all the way down to a local level. And that takes a lot of work, and that takes a lot of, difficult, courageous conversations. And I am sincerely hoping that as a community, we continue to build on the efforts, and we recognize how far we've come, even though we've got a long way to go in terms of building power collectively together, where we recognize the success of one individual, whether they become a delegate to the DNC, hopefully becoming a lieutenant governor, to being in Congress, to being a school board, across the board is a success for the entire community. And one of the things that I've realized is just the amount of effort, for sure, but amount of sincerity and barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that goes into what we're doing. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, in the Quran, that we're the best nation to be raised for mankind because we enjoin that which is good and forbid that which is evil. It's a commandment. It's a call for us to really be part of our society in a way that we're not just spectators, but we're, creating that change with our own hands. I know just in the 2020 election, our phone banking team across the board was calling in multiple different states and reached out to over 185,000 Muslims. In Georgia alone, we went off of our list and we were able to make over 15,000 calls. And each and every single one of these calls, each and every single one of these texts, each and every single organization and individuals who are on the ground working diligently, not just in 2020, but for the years prior. We're building that foundation for us to really make this earth, this tiny blue planet that we're living in, and across the board, whether on a global level to on our local city council levels, local street level, making this world a better place. And I know it sounds very cliche to say that, but we are. Sometimes we may not be able to see those results, but we're planting the seeds. And so I really want to kind of pay homage to all the civil rights activists and the giants that came before us, that paved the way for us to be able to be here today, both within our Muslim community as well as other communities as well, particularly the African American community. There's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into us being able to be where we are today. So, kudos to everyone that are here, as well as those who are not able to because they're continuing the good work elsewhere. So let's celebrate how far we've come and be optimistic towards how far we have to go, inshallah.
Thank you. That is true. We do have a lot of work. That's for sure. That's for sure. Okay. Any other questions that comes to mind? What else would you like to share with us, Dagger Rasul?
Well, I thank you for all that you do and for your work. And actually, just now, I felt like I had two beautiful khutbahs that were just given that I got to listen to. And it's music to our ears. I mean, when I first ran 12, 13 years ago, 13, 14 years ago now, I was having these conversations about how much we should be involved and all this stuff. And now we know this is our home too, right? And so I think the way we fight, to Dr. Zahed's point, and the fact that we must be here fighting for justice, as we just heard from our sister, this is just spot on. And it's so beautiful to hear members of our community who are delivering the right message about our involvement, and we're proud of the work that you all do. And hopefully, inshallah, consider all of you a partner, and consider me a partner in the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Sam. We really appreciate it. Thank you for giving us the time. Good luck for all the work that you do. I'm sure you can make it. You have what it takes to serve your constituent. You have what it takes to provide a vision. I think you have what it takes to mobilize the people for the good cause of Virginia and for the Virginians. I think every state has its own challenges, and at the end we all share the same and higher challenges. But I'm sure that you can make it, and we look forward to celebrate your win. And hopefully the pandemic will be over, and so we can enjoy the time in physical meetings. I don't know, we kind of missed those. We don't know how we're going to do those again. Can we do physical meetings? I don't know, but certainly something to hope for it, and inshallah will be very soon.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, and inshallah we'll have a physical meeting, just like last year when you had Sister Abrar and myself on a panel last year together in person.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get back there. But thank you so much for having me tonight, and congratulations on all of your wonderful work and success.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank you
it.
all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Okay. We had, as I said, we had a glitch, unfortunately, with our, the link. We had about 80 people registered, and we were, afraid that if we keep it not a panel, webinar, if we don't make it a webinar, then at one time we had incident where some people, they just continued to cause some noise. I'm going to share with you, the page that we do have 84 people registered for this seminar, as you can see here. And, we made it up to 500 to take. But anyway, we had 26 guests and 58 registrants, a total of 84, as you can see up there, but it was on the other link we had. And then we had to switch the link. And so, and we sent to all those who registered, we sent them the new link to be in this webinar. But it seems like either people did not check it out or there was some confusion. Some were able to join, others did not join. So I'm not quite sure what happened, but that's one of the issues that we had here. In addition, people are, it seems to me, Zoom is not stopping for people's time. Everybody has meetings. We just had, three or four of our speakers. They are actually right now in meetings, and those are government meetings. So I understand the crucial time that they are going through. Is Sarah, somebody who was still in the news?